all animals learn through play. And this is my argument or my view on it. And there's some science to support it. I'm not just pulling this out of my butt. We're hardwired to enjoy play because that's how we learn. It's risk-free environment or less risk than, say, in real life.
Hey, welcome to Game Layer, where we explore the science of play and the quest of learning. I am your host, David Colmer. Theme music by Caleb Willits. Welcome down to Game Layer.
I play piano.
I play chess.
I play everything.
I play games of my own invention.
I'd like to move to the domain of play.
So the guest I have today is Jonathan Peters, PhD. I guess I could call him Dr. Jonathan Peters as well. He is the Chief Motivation Officer at Sententia Gamification. I'm actually getting certified through this program, and he's been fantastic to work with. Really fun, funny guy, and really deep knowledge around what motivates people to do anything, let alone motivating people to learn something. So without further ado, let's have a talk with Dr. Jonathan Peters, aka Big Head at Sententia Gamification. All right, so it looks like we're live. So I have Jonathan Peters, PhD, on the show. Welcome, Jonathan.
Hey, it's great to be here.
So should I call you Dr. Jonathan Peters or Dr. Peters?
Jonathan, please. Yes.
Jonathan works.
Yeah.
I had an opening question on LinkedIn. Did you ever think about just having Dr. John? Did that ever come up, or?
Well, not John. Turns out my mom hates the name John, and so I'm not sure why she named me Jonathan. But I've never been able to shorten it because of the early childhood restrictions. So it's just
I'm sorry to bring that up.
Yeah. There's an even longer story there, but that's okay.
Maybe we can do that on the second podcast. Maybe.
Yeah.
So I like to kick things off by asking which Bartle player taxonomy you fall under. Do you identify more with the achiever, the explorer, the socializer, or the killer?
In gameplay, been a killer most of my life. So I am one of those folks who has to play to the last dice roll and so on.
Nice.
But in I don't even think the achiever side. I really think it's the joy of winning over others.
Yeah.
When I'm thinking of gameplay.
That's interesting because I think that kind of came through when you discussed the Reese motivation profile as well.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
You're very set. Do you want to just get into that now? I'd kind of like to ask a little bit about your background first, if you don't mind.
Okay.
Just,
sure. Yeah.
Where you're from or what interests you, whatever you want to share.
Yeah. So I'm originally, in my adult life, spent most of my life in Nevada and Las Vegas. So I identified as being from there, really enjoyed off-roading and so on. And then a decade or so ago, over a decade ago, moved to Texas. Really didn't identify with Texas at all up in Austin, but really didn't identify until during the pandemic we moved down to South Padre Island, Texas, which is all the way at the bottom of Texas. And so since then have identified with this lifestyle, living on the
You're
waters.
right at the Gulf of America, right? You're right at the Gulf of America.
Yeah, SpaceX is, in fact, as we're recording this tomorrow, we're looking at a launch. It'll be the 8th launch of the world's biggest rocket. And the weather is such that I hope to be on the jet ski out on the water in the bay here.
That's awesome.
So, yeah.
That's epic.
Yeah. I need to remember I didn't schedule that in for tomorrow. I need to block that time. So,
I kind of cut you off there. I apologize.
Yeah.
So where do you come from originally? Or you said you identify as Nevada, but what about younger years?
I grew up in Spokane, Washington to the age of 16 and then kind of pushed out of the house. So moved around a lot from 16 to, about 20s, 30s, got to visit around the United States quite a bit. So sense of place really didn't kick in till I settled in 2000 in Nevada.
Well, thanks for sharing that. I was
Yeah.
just curious where
Yeah.
you're from. So I understand you're certified at a certain level with the Reese motivation profile. Is that
Yeah.
accurate?
Yeah, I've really started before gamification was even a thing, but before I was really studying adult learning and uh, got involved with the Reese motivational profile, working with Dr. Reese and so on, way back. Since my pursuits back then still are, is in the marketing, persuasion, and so on. And and then of course now moving over into learning, moving into gamification, game design space, then moving the study of the Reese motivational profile and what that means for us as what we enjoy in life and what we call fun.
Oh, hey, Dave here. Just wanted to pull you aside and talk about the Reese Motivation Profile. That's Reese, R-E-I-S-S, found at reesemotivationprofile.com. It's made up of 16 distinct motivators that Dr. Reese identified through boiling down other motivators he had found using computer algorithms way back in the day. And just because you might not have internet, even though right now you are listening to a podcast, I can list them off for you so you don't have to look up the webpage. So here they are in no particular order: acceptance, beauty, curiosity, eating, the coolest one, family, honor, idealism, independence, order, physical activity, power, saving, social contact, status, tranquility, and vengeance. All right, back to the show.
What we determine as fun. And if you just look at all the games out there, you can see there's certain games that appeal to some folks and not others. So say Candy Crush was extremely popular, and I maybe played one game, one round of it. So it's very profitable, extremely popular, and not everybody likes it or found it as fun and enjoyable.
I know that you're an expert in the whole profile, and I was just curious if you could share your top motivators and then briefly explain them and kind of connect them to your life somehow.
Yeah. So to give a little bit on the scientific side, to nerd out for a little bit.
I'm here for that. Perfect.
It's the first and so far only empirically based, so scientifically based taxonomy of human needs and desires. And so when we talk about highs and lows, just for those listening in, when we study humans, we typically see usually I should say, or typically is a good word too, a bell curve. And typically people are within one deviation point of the mean. So for instance, when we study for intelligence, for the IQ test, roughly 2/3 of the population is within one deviation point of 100. So there's people on the plus side, plus one deviation, and then of course people on the minus side. And then after 2 degrees of deviation, the math gets kind of weird, but there's some interesting things when we look at extremely brilliant people. And then of course, below minus 2-point deviation when it comes to intelligence, then it's difficult to study because they probably can't read, aren't literate, and so on. With the Reese motivational profile, we find the same thing. So there's 16 core desires that we all have. And inside the bell curve, +1, -1 deviation, the concept is that life naturally gives that to you when you're in the middle there. When you're outside of the 1 deviation mark, Dr. Reese noticed that it becomes significant at 0.84 deviation instead of the 1. So just to round the numbers a little bit. But
that makes it more accurate.
Yeah. So at that point, then that's what drives our personality, because we want more or less than what life naturally gives us. So when we're in the middle, life gives it to us. When we're outside of that, then we need to do things to get more of something or less of something. So the reason so there's a lot of reasons for that setup, but then that's what becomes, like I said, drives our personality, because we want more of those things. So the first time, and it's still true today, it's not like we change. There will be slight changes over time, but not much. I'm not normal in in all but one of these. So I'm on the more than -1 deviation point on 7 of these 16 core desires, and I'm high, so above +1 on 8, and I hit -2 on like 4 of them, and -2 on one of them. So I was, when I first talked to Dr. Reese about this, I said, well, is there something wrong with me? Because I'm so not normal. Yeah. And he said,
Abnormal.
no, you're just very passionate about life. So eating
Nice.
happens to be the one that I'm normal on. Everything else, I'm outside of it. And so, of course, this has to do with my personality. Also, some people like me, some people find me extremely irritating, and so on. But when it comes to gameplay, I do have a high desire for vengeance. So that's what comes in the killer. And then also, so I'm not going to go through my whole profile, but I'm also highly motivated by status and power. So
Okay.
yeah, so power does play into that dominance as well that you'd find in the killer. But also, what's interesting in gameplay with power is people with a high desire for power have the ability to really grind. And so there's certain games and game dynamics that I can do. So if you think of the old game of Risk, the board game, there's a lot of grinding that goes on where you got to roll the dice.
There's a lot of risk games that weren't finished too, right?
Yeah,
I think
because
you set up the
it's 2
game
days
and then
later.
right.
Yeah.
So
So and then it becomes mathematically improbable, when the person gets pushed all the way
right.
to Australia, But it's tremendous amounts of grinding that has to happen. It does dice roll, dice roll, dice roll, and then status, of course, plays into that killer thing as well. There can be only one, and it
Yeah.
happens to be me, and all the rest of y'all are losers. So the other interesting piece for me with gameplay is a low desire for tranquility, which is tranquility is the desire to be safe. So when people have a low desire for tranquility, or there's a joy in risk taking. We call it adventure. Not that I'm out jumping out of airplanes, but I probably have less resistance to it than someone else might. Bungee jumping and so on. But then also a low desire for savings, which means in gameplay, just because I have something, I'm willing to lose it. So if you think of boss battles, and so with those two, an enjoyment of games of chance, it would suggest that I would like gambling. And like I said, originally from Las Vegas, but
Right.
and my story was always, well, the reason I don't gamble is because I've never won significantly.
Yeah.
And so when the house is always winning, it doesn't feel good when you're high status. And because I don't have enough money to be in the VIP areas, I'm among the losers and the degenerates. So, but if I'm going to spend $100 at a casino, because of my profile, I'd rather spend that $100 sitting at the bar talking to strangers, drinking top shelf, than risking it at I'm not averse to risking it at a roulette table or so. Well, let's say like a poker game is with people, but not a lot of talking goes on. Blackjack, you're all just sitting there. That's not very socially interactive and stuff. So if you're going to lose the money anyway, I'd rather be talking to strangers. And that's where an example of where our profiles balance out. So in gameplay, boss battle doesn't really scare me. Being at a casino doesn't interest me either. So it's fascinating. There's other things in the profile, but those 5 really stand out when it comes to gameplay.
And so you're saying for an average person, there's usually maybe like 3 main ones that are your dominants?
Yeah, we usually see 2 or 3 on the high side, 2 or 3 on the low side.
Okay.
because it creates our personality. Yeah.
Right. And it's so interesting you got to speak to him about it. That makes it a better story. 'Cause you got to say, hey, is there anything wrong with me here? Like,
I
what's
was really
going on?
worried. Yeah. Oh,
Oh,
when it comes to gameplay, speaking of, I also have a low desire for honor, so it's what we call expedient. And
yeah.
so for these folks, rules get in the way of getting what they want. And so I'm the type of player who's always trying to find a better, faster, easier way to do it. Game the game.
Yeah.
Honorable people out there would call it cheating. So,
Yeah. I have a bit of that in myself, I think. Right.
yeah,
Just
I'm sure.
figuring out what's happening behind the curtain so I can kind of game the system.
Yeah, I'm
That's
sure.
fun to me too.
I should have pulled your profile up before we were talking.
Yeah, I was just thinking, man, I should have that up, and
Yeah.
I actually don't. I could pull it up. I
Yeah.
have it right here. But while I pull that up, I have a question because I actually got certified level 1 and level 2 with Sententia, and it's the company that you work with. Do you own? Are you part owner, or how should I?
No, it's women owned. Yeah, Monica Cornetti's
Okay.
company. So, but I'm C-level, so executive with the company. So
Oh, you have such status, Jonathan.
yeah, yes, no status.
So from level 1 certification, I caught, and I remember that you saying that you brought this to Africa. Am I remembering that incorrectly, or is that true?
Yeah, it's true. The original study, well, as it built out, so they would always, part of the literature was that it went to 4 continents, and so it had not yet been in Africa. So we did some work at Mafeking University in South Africa, so way out in the boonies of South Africa. It's probably,
Wow.
geez, I got to think 3-4 hour drive out of Johannesburg. So it was a great opportunity we had, and but also we work closely with quite a few people in Egypt, which is officially in Africa. So even though we think of it as Middle East, so I think officially it probably had folks taking the Reese motivational profile in Egypt before we had the opportunity to go to South Africa and to bring it there. But yeah.
And why were you out there? Were you out there to bring the Reese motivational profile to that part of the world, or were you already there and just?
Yeah, it's part of our process when we create a gamified program, so that the university there, through a friend partner of ours, a colleague, not partner, but a colleague of ours, brought us in on a project at Mafeking. And so part of our process is to look at the Reese motivational profile when it comes to what will this population find as fun. So these were the problem they were having is we would call them, so they just have their PhD. They're just, I guess they'd be not quite adjuncts, they'd be above adjunct professors. They have a special word and I'm blanking on it, but so they're instructors just starting out on their career, and they weren't completing all the necessary paperwork for the university to get funding. So the idea is by looking at their Reese motivational profiles, we can determine what will be fun for them, what will motivate them to play this game and to get the paperwork turned in and to stay motivated is, I guess, how we would say. Yeah.
Interesting.
So it's a fun project. Yeah, it's a really fun
That
project.
is a fun project. And personally, I'm just really fascinated with travel. So, don't ask me where I've studied or where I've eaten. Ask me where I've traveled to. You know?
There you go. Yeah, definitely.
That's a quote somewhere. That's one of the presidents said that. I don't know who.
No, really?
I didn't write that. So I actually pulled up my Reese motivational profile, and my number 1 is eating.
Okay.
A 1.49 for eating. If you look at my Instagram, it's pictures of food, food that I've cooked. Yeah. So it fits.
In my theory of fun, I haven't found any game mechanics that appeal to eating. It turns out food satiates that desire just fine.
You know, I actually did a learner-centric activity when I worked in Thailand where we did mocktails with college students, and it went really well. They all brought in supplies. I don't know if there was much learning, but we had some really good drinks.
Yeah,
So,
yeah, there you go.
Yeah. Like everyone brought a different tropical fruit, and I brought my blender. And that was a good class.
That's wonderful.
I don't think they learned any English, but that's second.
Yeah, exactly.
So my secondary one is beauty. So I'm interested in beauty. I guess I have an interest in aesthetics, and I don't know if that would translate to beauty or not.
Yeah, it's purely mostly the visual aesthetics. So every once in a while, when I'm having someone take the Reese Motivation Profile and they're low on beauty, and because they think of all the arts, and they say, "Well, I love jazz" or something like that. Well, it's not.
Okay.
Beauty's the visual piece. So I'm like you there. So my whole office is positioned so that I can look out of my window at the bay.
Same.
Yeah. So
Same.
It's all the beauty's right there versus somebody else, or most people, I should say, are fine in a cubicle, staring at their screen, staring at the walls. And that would be extremely stressful for me. In my office.
So low beauty doesn't mean that their face is ugly. It just means that.
Yeah. But on our side, we do have to be careful. We do tend to judge the book by its cover.
Right. I thought that I had that thought when you said that. When people come up, they're like concerned that they are not beautiful, but obviously that's not the case.
No.
I do have a question for you, and this is actually something that came up when you and Monica were kind of having a meeting with me. She asked, "Is David high power?" And that's my lowest. In fact, that's my most extreme, is a negative 1.51 deviation away from power.
Sure.
And I'm kind of curious about what that means, because I feel like maybe I give power away. It's like sometimes I have too much power, and maybe it's because I'm a white man in America. I don't know what it is, but I feel like I'm not in a position where I should seek out power. And I was just curious about your reaction to that concept.
Power's an interesting one in that it's the exertion of will on our environment. So on the low side which I just find is interesting, because you're doing this whole effort for creating a podcast and so on. So that drive is coming from somewhere else, unless someone told you to do this. Yeah. So it's the comfort of being led by others would be that piece on the low power side. So the exertion of will. Yeah. So that's where the whole leadership, because if I can get you to do my bidding, then that's where that drive of power comes. It also has a lot to do, like I said, with grinding when it comes to gameplay, overcoming the obstacles. So it becomes fun to overcome big odds with power versus you might give up. And I don't mean that in a bad way, but you go like, "Oh, this is just stupid. I could go do something else.
Yeah.
This is a waste of my time."
Well, I will be one of the first people to give up on a midnight Risk game. So if it's like 2 a.m., I'm going to be like, "Guys, let's just pack this up."
Yeah, this is stupid.
Maybe this is there.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, my beauty sleep is more important than this game of Risk. Well,
Right.
it brings up another point, and I don't mean to criticize the motivation profile that was created by Reitz, but I think all of these profiles, for me, I have a personal qualm with them in the sense that there's the person who I am, and then there's the person who I want to be seen as.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes I think while we're taking these evaluations, it kind of depends on the day. Like, am I feeling like really bold in who I am, or am I wanting to portray the mask that I wear, right? And maybe it's impossible to get behind that and really clear that up. And I'm not trying to throw a wrench into the works.
Well, that's where Dr. Reese's was significant in the scientific part of it, because it really pushes away from that. There is a test which I want to do. It's it's expensive for me as somebody that gets these things at wholesale. There's
Oh, wow.
there's another one that if you think someone is lying, that you can have them do. So I want to take it just out of my sense of curiosity. So one of these days I'll
Right.
go ahead and buy it. But it
Yeah,
is,
and I think that's a good way of putting it. Like,
yeah,
maybe I was lying about the power bit simply because I don't want to be seen as,
power grabber. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
that is a negative trait for me. So I think maybe I go out of my way to hide the fact that maybe I do seek power. I'm just thinking
now
about it.
you need to go to a shrink. So,
Right. Just send you a
the-
bill in the mail. Thanks, Dr. John.
yeah, when I talked to Dr. East on this, because when I was thinking, I was like, man, it's going to be so difficult to sit down with someone and talk to them about, let's say, like low beauty that we just mentioned, or low status was the one that I was concerned with. And he said, no,
Right.
people are proud of who they are. And I've found that over the years, now decade, that that people, when they see their profile, even though it's different from me and then what I'm proud of in my life and who I am, and no, they're proud to be, not saying this disparagingly, but they're proud that they buy their clothes at Walmart. That,
Yeah.
that's what I'm saying. I'm high status. That would be very difficult for me to do, is to buy my clothes at Walmart. But that's what I'm saying.
No, I'm low status. I'm low
Yeah.
status, and I'm very proud of my Members Mark jeans because
There you go.
at Miss Sam's Club, they're comfortable as hell, and
Yeah.
I like to wear them. So
Yeah,
Yeah.
this is, I won't get a Sam's Club membership. I don't care that it's
you won't even go there.
closer to my house.
No, my brother and I have like Costco Kirkland signature T-shirts. Very opposite in that way.
Yeah, for me
Yeah.
that'd be ironic. Yeah, if I had one. So,
It's kind of a hipster move. Yeah.
yeah,
That's,
yeah, yeah, definitely.
well, cool. Yeah, I mean, I know that you and I actually had a meeting, and we were doing just that. We were discussing my Reese motivation profile. And I was like, yeah, I have these things, cool. And then we just talked about mountain biking most of the time, I think,
Yeah.
if I recall correctly.
Okay, good. Yeah,
Yeah.
Were you physical activity then, or
Social contact is very high for me. And then physical activity, it's
Oh,
positive,
exactly.
but not by much.
yeah?
Yeah.
I just clicked over. Yeah. So I guess the social contact. So that's where we would say, like, why a podcast or something. This allows for
I had that
conversations.
thought too.
Yeah. In other words,
Yeah.
we like each other and stuff, but we don't get time to really chat. And so you create this environment for us to have a conversation that we just don't normally
I would say
have.
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I do a blog, and going back to the part where I need, psychiatric help, it's just me talking to myself on the blog. And that
Right.
gets boring. So
Yeah.
this is very appealing to have someone else to talk to.
Yeah. No, I'm right there with you.
Yeah. Awesome. So I wanted to, let's take a quick break. And when we get back, I'm going to go ahead and ask you the power question.
Okay.
All right, and we're back. So, Jonathan, I wanted to ask you, from your perspective and your experience, what are games and why do we love them?
Ooh, that's good. So I'm, like I said, nerd out on gameplay. What's fun? All animals learn through play, and so there's that key aspect of inside of play is. So that learning can be anything, by the way. So when we're playing Call of Duty or something, we're learning how to play Call of Duty. We're not necessarily learning how to kill people, but
Better or worse,
maybe
right?
we are. But but really, in the big scheme of things, and this is my argument or my view on it, and there's some science to support it. I'm not just pulling this out of my butt. That we're hardwired to enjoy play because that's how we learn. It's risk-free environment, or less risk than, say, in real life. And so besides the misnomer, especially in Victorian culture, was that in industrial culture was that play was bad. It's only what children do, and so on.
Mhm.
I think that
Right.
was a larger push against anything that came natural to us, anything that we found as fun. That was the culture at the time, was if you enjoy it,
Okay.
it must be bad. And
Sure.
so my argument and my belief is that we are hardwired to find enjoyment through play and also to learn through play, whatever that learning is. Like I said, it might just be how to play the game better, but there's still joy inside of that.
That's really beautiful. It's
Yeah.
really nice.
Good.
Yeah, I actually took a class I have a bachelor's in theater, and we
Wow.
took a class on movement. I had a whole like freshman class on movement, and we had
Nice.
a whole chapter in that class about play, and we watched videos of like wolves playing in the woods. And it was just this concept that, when you're on stage, you're playing a role, right?
Yeah.
And we used the verb play around that. And it was just this really nice fundamental realization that there's value in this.
Yeah.
It's not just fun for kids. You can really find value in retaining that playful state, or that, I don't know, what is it? Is it a playful state? Is it a state of mind? How would you define that? Or what is play?
That's wow, that's good because we talk in psychology about state. I guess it'd be a mental state that we're in. The famous magic circle, for instance, Johann, I won't get to it, but I'm not going to recommend his book anyway because it's really tough reading.
Oh, hey, Dave here. I just wanted to break the fourth wall real quick to tell you about the Magic Circle, otherwise known as Circle of Play. This is a concept popularized by Dutch cultural historian Johann Huizinga in his book Homo Ludens. This refers to a unique, temporary space where play occurs, distinct from ordinary reality. This magic circle of play is a concept in game studies that refers to the imaginary boundaries that separate the world of play from the outside world. Makes me think just a little bit about the theater term, the magic what if. All right, back to the show.
Is this the book you'd mentioned in the certification? Yeah.
Yeah, the guy who invented the term and we use it in gameplay. So the magic circle is that when we enter into playing a game, we enter into a magic circle where the rules make sense. So I guess it would be a state. So while I'm looking over the bay here, I'm also looking over at the golf course, and so it's a par 3 right outside, and so right outside my window here, and people are cheating. It's over water, and I get to enjoy them watching how they cheat. Their balls go in the water because being high vengeance, I get joy out of watching them. But the point is that the game makes sense to them once they say, okay, once you step on the golf course, this game of getting this frustrating game of getting this ball in that hole over there in a very inefficient way, swinging sticks at the ball, that makes sense once you're inside the game. And so, I would say play is a state, a mental state. When good play, good game design, we would be in a state. So I like that. I got to think. I'm writing a note to myself to explore that idea. Good. Good. I'm not hearing anything.
So when you mentioned that circle that you enter where the rules just make sense, I started to apply that to sort of my theater perspective. And that led me to the concept of the given circumstances. So when I'm playing a role on stage, there's a set of given circumstances. Like Hamlet doesn't just like go pick up a phone and make a phone call, right? Because there's no phones in his time.
Right.
So that there's a definite correlation there for me. And I think that's why gamification has just such a natural attraction to me, because it's very theater based to me. And I don't know if you see that correlation or if it's just something that I'm adding.
Yeah, no, I like it. I have not personally connected that dot, but I am now, thanks to you.
Sure.
Because it's called a play. You know, it's
It's kind of right there. Yeah.
so the play is the thing. It's
Yeah.
the whole world's a stage. I mean, it's
Yeah.
So yeah, thank you for that. I just hadn't connected that dot before.
Yeah, and I think that's kind of what I was getting at earlier. Maybe is it play the verb or play the noun? Right. I mean, you go see a play. It's just a play on words, even, right?
Yeah.
So,
which is somewhat specific to the English language compared to. So,
sure.
Was it in Chinese? They have something like there's, I think, at least 7 different types of, like, if we were to translate play, they have different types of play. So I believe it's 7. So it depends if you're playing the drums versus playing the violin type things. It's same Spanish. I know there's different. There's play like playing football, and then there's playing the piano. Those are 2 different verbs. So it's
interesting.
Be an interesting study. Our view of play is different because because we use play in so many different, the word in so many different contexts.
I love that idea because I really do feel like our language shapes our perception of the world.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I know I lived in Thailand for a while and I learned Thai, and they almost overuse the word play. They if you learn piano, learn support, you can just learn anything. And we talk about surfing the internet. They would always say play internet because in Thailand you learn internet. It's almost the opposite there. They overuse it.
Yeah, interesting.
Probably a culture that's obsessed with play, though. So that's
evidently
very friendly, very childlike culture. So
no, I could see that. It's fun.
So I'd kind of like to just maybe broaden this a little bit and talk more about the gamified learning environment as a whole, and then maybe how you specifically see that tie into motivation. Or, you mentioned previously that you're into the Reese motivation profile and it was a little bit more about marketing. How has it shifted maybe? Or how do you tie that into learning?
Yeah, that's what I was doing early on. So I would say for over a decade now, I've been focused on using the profile as far as play and as fun. So my theory of fun, and so it's theory now just because I don't have the financial backing to really look at it, because I have a whole view of how I could study this, but I believe it really does come down to brain receptors. But what makes a game mechanic fun is it appeals to at least one of our core desires. So when I was talking, for instance, about, let's say like gambling or something where I might find it more fun is because of the risk taking. So if you were somebody who has high savings, that once you have something, you don't want to lose it. So let's say you have a badge or something, XP, or let's say inside of video games, you have health, you've built up your health. To lose those things would be very stressful, versus for me, there'd be less stress in that. So that's, to use the whole badging thing, if you like to collect, then collecting badges is fun. If you don't like to collect, then that's kind of worthless to you. So that's where I've been looking at. And then being in the learning space, of course, is where the gamification piece comes in, because I'm not designing games, just regular games, not a game designer. And because I happen to be in the learning space. So then what can we do to take, because it is about motivation. So if someone does not enjoy learning, curiosity is one of the core desires. If that's not fun for somebody, how can we make it fun? So getting your kids to eat their vegetables type thing, and which gets into a whole other conversation. But this learning program, where if you give me a book, I find that as fun to sit down and read a book. That's not fun for most people. So what can we do in the learning space if we want them to learn, and maybe they want to learn, but how can we make the learning fun? And that's where we take aspects of fun games and then apply it to these environments. So that's where I've been focusing, like I said, for some time now. And not hearing you again. I'm not hearing you.
All right, we're back from another break. Adobe Podcast decided to give us a break, and we are going to seek power, I guess. What does it say about me, Jonathan, that I keep trying to make a podcast, even though Adobe Podcast seems to not want me to do that? Does that say something?
I don't know.
Motivation profile?
I think it's just your natural drive to get it right. Get it in the can. Yeah.
Okay. So I was able, it's funny, I wasn't able to talk, but I was able to listen to what you were saying. And I was there the whole time, even though I wasn't interjecting. And it was all good stuff. And I feel bad that I wasn't able to say, yes, I agree. Well, you were on that. But it was really good because that was sort of your monologue for the podcast, right?
Well, there we go.
There we have it. So I'd kind of like to ask, because I have a repeat question, other than a cat or a dog, what is your favorite animal?
So you didn't tell me that.
Oh,
in the notes you did not have a qualifier.
I did not have a qualifier. That's true. I added the qualifier. That's true. You can.
I don't like little dogs.
You can dogs. That's fine.
Little yippies. Well, around here, so this is cool. Where I live, it's called Meal Guy. It's an antelope that escaped a farm generations ago.
Oh.
So it's gorgeous. They're an antelope, but they're as big as a horse that run wild out here.
Wow.
And so one of the things I like doing is getting in biking on a wind farm or out in the conservation areas and hopefully running into them. But the males are actually blue. They're a very distinct color of blue. It's kind of
wow.
I would say they're kind of my favorite animal now because I'm chasing them all the time trying to find them. So.
It sounds sort of mystical, right? You're making me think Avatar or something.
Yeah. That's kind of what they look like, kind of like they would be on the set. They're not that blue. Well, it's a different color blue. It's distinctly blue.
Well, thank you for swinging at my curveball. I'm sorry I added a qualifier in.
No,
so far, this is my third recording, and everyone has said cat so far. And I'm like, well,
yeah, so it gets boring.
I mean, how is that going to identify people's character if everyone's just says, yeah, I love cats?
It means you don't like picking up dog poop. That's all.
That's all it means.
Yeah.
Like the equivalent of working with Adobe Podcast. All right. So, what would you say is your favorite game if you had to nail it down?
Yeah, it's always because it drifts and it touches. So one of when I saw that question coming up in the pre-conversation, I was thinking because it does change, and I believe that my answer would be different if I had more time for play, for gaming. And so I always talk about how when I was a kid, my favorite game was Othello and games like that. And so I do watch on Twitch. I mentioned Call of Duty earlier because I'll watch other people play because if I only have a half an hour, I can watch other people play and study the game. But what I'm really fascinated by right now is the Flux series. It's a card game, Flux, and I'm like, it's giving me joy because the goal is always changing through play. So you think the win state is going to be this one thing, and then all of a sudden the card gets drawn, and now you have too many of one card, and so that constant changing is fascinating me from a gameplay because it's basically mixing up the rules of the game. The goals keep changing, the win state keeps changing. So that's my current.
My follow-up question is, what are the mechanics of that game that you like? And it sounds like the constant element of change is what draws you to
Yeah.
it.
Yeah. And I don't know, to take it to, I would have a profile that has a lot of tolerance for it. So there is pleasure that I was losing. Now I have a chance to win because the rules changed in the middle of the game.
Nice.
But yeah, so it's a fascinating piece. And then even for those listening, again, and well, not Twitch, but go on YouTube and watch people playing the game. It's a lot of fun. You'll see the joy of it. So I think you have to have 4 people at least to be playing it. But yeah, it's my current fascination when it comes to gameplay games.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll have to check that one out. My son just got Exploding Kittens, and you kind of made me think of
Yeah. That's good.
sort of. You kind of don't. I don't know. It's somehow it reverses the motivation of playing the game. Like you don't want to play.
Yeah.
He pointed that out. He's like, no, you don't want to take your turn. It's bad. I was like, wait, what?
Exactly.
He's trying.
Yeah, it goes
to
again.
be. Yeah. That's
Yeah, in that realm, there's a new Cheaters Monopoly,
oh, what?
and so encourages cheating, but you do need more than 4 players or more, because the whole point is not getting caught. And if you only have 2 or 3 people playing, it's easy to catch someone at cheating.
That's awesome.
Yeah. It's fun for like one game, and then
Yeah.
doesn't have longevity.
Yeah.
So,
He just made me think of, there's a new Uno. It's like Uno No Mercy, and like it's all rebranded. It's all really black. There's like a 50 card, and it's just really, really intense.
oh
Yeah.
wow,
I didn't buy it. I should.
it's in that genre. Yeah.
Yeah. I kind of touched on your history in marketing, and I'd kind of like to just ask that before we wrap up. Just if because we kind of skimmed over that, and it's like almost like a previous life for you, it feels like. And
Yeah,
I'm
well,
curious.
yeah.
I know you probably do some marketing work where you're at now, but what was that experience like working in marketing before?
Yeah, so it was. I'm a writer at my core, and so I'm at a certain age, so I went through the .com boom and bust, and so I was in grad school during the boom, and so everybody needed content at the time, and so somebody who could write easily, and so I really studied the craft of persuasive copy, and then being fascinated with the brain. When spent a lot of time in the persuasion community, really studying persuasion, which eventually brought me to Dr. Reese's work. And so the concepts and the ideas, well, just to take it, if I know which in this case, I do know your Reese motivation profile, I can look it up.
Sure.
I can predict the decisions you'll make in life. And then I can also modify my message to appeal to you and you specifically. So when it comes to especially sales, that's where we can really zoom in on it. So I remember when I was single and I don't have children, and this friend of mine who's in the financial sector and stuff, and he sat down and says, you got to really start saving. Your parents are getting old. It's the responsible thing to do, and blah blah blah. I kept telling him, but he was going against my Reese motivational profile. All his reasons why I should be more fiscally responsible than I am just went against everything. But if he had changed the language to something that would appeal to me,
sure.
And so when I told him about it, he got it right on the spot, and he changed it. He said, imagine this. Imagine, which by the way is a persuasive term. It's a hypnotic term. Imagine your buddy calls you up on the phone and said, hey, let's go to Spain. Let's do the running with the bulls. And we'll fly over first class. We'll stay in great accommodations once we get there. How's that sound to you? I said, sounds fun. He said, we'll call it your fun fund. He said, how much can we put in? How much can we put in your fund? And I was like, well, let's put $1,000 in. So
Sure.
So that was the marketing piece. And that was the background, and it's still there. I share it, some of the aspects of it. So it's still a fascination to me that underlying everything is on the marketing side of things is there are words that we can say, there's ways that we can speak that lower resistance, to put it nicely. You can go all the way over to the dark side and manipulate people, but it's in the same category. It's just I would say that focusing now on learning and development, it is a more noble study than simply trying to get people to give you their money. So separating them from their money.
I was a trainer for a while for Macy's, actually. And it's kind of interesting because it always did feel kind of like a pitch. It's almost like I'm trying to sell them on this new policy, which either is or is not in their best interest. Maybe it is more noble, and maybe not always, right? I don't know.
Yeah, that wears on you. And that was because of who I was and where I was into it. And they're like, "Oh no, you got to believe in your product to be able to sell it." It's like, no, But
I love it.
But but that does, I mean, it's a whole other discussion. But this where I am now, like I said, in the fascination and the study of it is very, like I said, it's more noble.
Yeah, and I do agree with you. I was just like to play the devil's advocate just a little bit. Speaking of marketing, I wanted to share. I hadn't told you this yet, but just today I purchased level 3 of gamification for Sententia. So I'm on my path. We'll see if I pass, become a game.
Yeah, you will, I'm sure. Master craftsman. No, that'll be great. So I do share with the master craftsman. So there's the intensive when we're going through, and then there's 90 days of follow-up. We're coaching and collaborating and helping each other out. And in those 90 days, they each have lessons. So I do share with the group because it's, these are core people in our community. I do share the concept. I share some of the hypnotic phrasing. And the idea is that we could if we could lower students' barriers to resistance to, I guess we could say, to learning, just using our words, perhaps that's a noble cause as well. So using the force for good,
right?
Young Skywalker. So so that's great.
I love it. I'm really excited. It's been a great journey so far, and I'm looking forward to moving it forward.
Wonderful.
So just to wrap up, is there anything that I didn't ask you that you wish I had?
It's been a great conversation. Like I said, you've given me several things where I hadn't thought of that. So I made notes for myself to continue thinking. So anytime I can have a conversation where I leave it saying, I need to look at that more and look a little more deeply into something. Yeah. It's very, very enjoyable that way.
Well, I'm smiling. So thank you for that. I really appreciate that. And lastly, how can people contact you, Jonathan Peters?
Ooh, good. Yeah. So especially in this area, because obviously I nerd out a lot. So feel comfortable finding my email address. So it's Big Head, because so Big Head at, and it's sententiagames.com. Not to spell it out there, but going to LinkedIn, you can find me easily. So it's whatever it is, LinkedIn/IN or whatever that piece is. There's enough connections that it's actually Jonathan Peters, PhD is my LinkedIn address. So it's Jonathan Peters, PhD. Find me there, message me that way. And you can also figure out how to spell Sententia. So it's sententiagames.com is my email. So not spam marketing and so on, but certainly to have a conversation, have a question.
Sure. Sententia. Did I get it right?
Games. Yep. Games.com. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, again, thank you so much for being on the show. It was a pleasure speaking with you. You're just a funny and charming person. And it's always great having a conversation.
Always
Thanks so much.
Enjoyable. Great.
Sign off for today. I'll see you when UCB, sir.
Yeah. Actually, it'll be in June. I'll be out there. Cool.
See you in June. Have a good
Okay. All right. Bye.
later. Thank you so much for joining me for this episode of Game Layer. This is David Colmer reminding you to stay present and never postpone joy. You can find transcripts of the show at gamelayer.fm. GAMELAYER.fm. Theme music by Kayla Willits. Thanks for listening. Now go, play.
I play chess.
I play Scrabble.
I play faute. I play everything.
Hide and seek with my kids.
I play the piano.
I play board games.
I play guitar.
I smash it on the pitch.
I play chess.
I play Othello.
I play all the Marios.
I play Success Strategist.
I play Street Fighter.
Final Fantasy.
I play games of my own invention. Games of my own invention. Games of my own invention. Games of my own invention.
There are many ways to play. Going for a walk together, doing nothing together is also playing. Anything that can cultivate your feeling of joy, relaxation, where you feel more recharged after doing that thing, and I think you can consider as something that we play with. I'd like to move to the domain of play